101, Emily's Pav. We stay sedated for a while in each other's arms. I listen to his beating heart, my head resting on his chest as he run a hand through my messy, tangled hair. I did not kill Maya on purpose, I suddenly blurted out, making Bryson stop his actions. I know that, baby, he responded, soothing his fingers down my naked back. I sighed, knowing that this was the perfect time to tell him everything when we both were calm. That night, after you left, my mom showed up. She looked scared and she tugged me upstairs. I can still remember the night like it was yesterday. Remember the last words we said to each other before she made her return to the pack. I wondered if she was okay. She promised me she would look after Bryson for me. I bet she was home baking her cookies while Dad read through the newspaper. I shifted my head to face Bryson, and he looked down at me. My mom, I whispered. Did you punish her for helping me escape? Bryson swallowed and looked away. When he didn't answer, I lifted myself off him, sitting upright while I peered down at him. My heart began to race as I thought of the worst. Did he hurt her? He wouldn't, right? The very thought made my throat ache and I swallow. I gripped his arm, my heart pounding in my chest painfully, hoping that my thoughts were not true. I should have stopped her, were Bryson's grave words as he brought his eyes to mine. They are filled with sorrow and knocked the air out of my lungs. My fingertips dig into his skin as my heart sped up. Tell me, Bryson, I croaked, my voice cracking as tears welled in my eyes. He swallowed, his face contorted with pain. He gulped. She killed herself when we caught her. The words hit me like a giant wave, a crushing pressure that swept away any remains of hope I had left. My hands shook as I clung to Bryson's arm, trying to process what he had just revealed. The room seemed to close in on us, and the air felt heavy and suffocating. My vision blurred, and I found it hard to collect air into my lungs to breathe. I couldn't breathe. She what? I managed to stammer, my voice barely above a whisper. My throat burned so bad, everything feels so crammed into my tiny body. Every painful feeling. The tears that had welled up in my eyes, blurring my vision, fell freely, crawling down my cheeks. It was as if my world had shattered into a million pieces, leaving me in a cold, dark pit, like the pit of hell. Bryson's eyes were filled with remorse, and he reached out to cup my face, wiping away a tear with his thumb. I sobbed, my chest feeling tight. I'm so sorry, Emily, he said, his voice quivering. I tried to stop her, but I was too late. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My mother, the woman who had always been there for me, the one who had sacrificed so much to help me escape from the council, had taken her own life. The guilt and grief washed over me like a never-ending flood. I knew she killed herself because of me. That much was clear. She didn't want them to know where I had run off to and distracted with her death. She sacrificed so much for me. My lower lip trembled as I sobbed. This wasn't fair. This life, it wasn't fair at all. Bryson held me tighter, his arms a lifeline in the weight of emotions that raged within me. My grief, guilt, and pain swirled together and formed a storm of despair. The room felt like a prison, closing in on us, and I wished I could escape from this nightmare. You're lying, I whispered, hoping the words that fluttered out of my mouth were the truth and not his. I shook my head, my lips wobbling as tears soaked my cheeks. Bryson sat up and pulled me in his arms, hugging me as I pressed my mouth on his shoulder to choke out the scream of pain that tried to fight to come out. In Bryson's arms, I tried to deny the painful reality that had been revealed, to pretend that what he had just told me was nothing but a lie, a nightmare from which I would soon wake up from. It was a nightmare. This wasn't real. Even though my words rang in my head, my heart knew that his words were true. I clung on to him, wailing as my tears soaked on his shoulder. Bryson held me close as my sobs intensified, the tears soaking his shoulder. The weight of my mother's sacrifice pressed on me, and it was a weight that I would never escape. She had given her life to protect me, to ensure my safety and freedom. And here I was, back in Bryson's arms and on the verge of telling him everything that would put him and the pack in danger. My heart pumped viciously in my chest. Would my mom's sacrifice be in vain now that I was about to reveal everything to him? I cried. What about my dad? I croaked, my nails digging into his skin. Despite that, Bryson does not stop me. Please tell me he is still alive. I have lost one already. I can't bear the thought of... I broke down when Bryson held me tighter. He didn't have to answer. His actions already told me. I cried for all 3 of my parents I lost, feeling like I was truly not worth their sacrifice. I was not sure for how long I cried, but when I was done, my voice was hoarse and I did not have the power to remove myself from Bryson. It was like he was my lifeline, and if I pulled away from him, I'd be dead. What good would I be for Raiden when I don't have strength to fight anymore? Bryson ran his hands through my hair, cooing at me and kissing my head. As he continued to soothe me, I realized that I could no longer do this on my own. This pain, bearing all this weight on my shoulders, I grew angry. The pain was now anger. Angry that the council was the cause of this. If my mom did not have to keep me safe, she would still be here. My dad would still be here. Both my dads would still be here. The council was the root cause of my suffering. They were the root of evil, and I had to dig them out. Pulling away from Bryson, I pulled in any painful feeling and carved it into fury as I told Bryson everything. By the time I was done, Bryson was silent, but his eyes shifted from red to his usual color. And then he pushed me off him and stood up. The next second was like a blur. Bryson gripped the nightstand, lifted it, and flew it across the room. It makes a loud booming sound as it crashes against the wall. Fear tickled up my spine as I watch him breathe viciously, fighting his wolf. Every rise of his shoulder showed how painful it was to not give in to his wolf. "Bryson?" I whispered softly. At the sound of my voice, he whipped around and I curled back at the pure, more beast-than-man look as he snarled, 102, Emily's Pav. The loud snarl he let out sent a shiver down my spine. I wanted to reach out to him, to calm the storm that raged within him, but I feared to move closer to him. He was more beast than man at this moment, and I couldn't predict his reaction. I knew Bryson would not hurt me, but I had never seen him like this before, and it kind of took me by surprise. The room trembled with the force of his rage, creating an atmosphere that was both terrifying and cold. I looked down at the nightstand. It's in ruins and nothing is left but splintered wood. He is enraged. "Bryson," my voice coming out in a trembling whisper, a feral snarl leaving his lips. The feral snarl was his only response. Bryson's eyes, still more wolf than man, bore into me with a wild intensity. His canines pushed out of his gums, showing how much he was fighting to keep from shifting. I swallowed, not sure if to approach him or not, but I needed to calm him down. I slipped out of bed, his feral eyes watching my every move. I was closing in on him when the door suddenly burst open. "Oh, God, sorry." Lucy screeched and closed the door quickly. She must have heard the loud clash of the bedside table crashing into the wall. I heard the noise, and I thought something might have happened. Lucy's voice cracked through the door, sounding embarrassed to have caught both Bryce and I naked. "It's okay, Lucy," I whispered unsurely as I peered at Bryson. Was he calming down? It looked like it. His breathing was more even, but the anger in his eyes was still present. I told him everything. He seems to very angered after I revealed what I needed to. I spoke to her through our link. She sighed. "Can you handle him like this? I don't want him hurting you accidentally." I pressed my lips in thought as I stared at Bryson. His wolf was still trying to take over, but he seemed to have more of a grip on his beast. "I can handle him. Stay with Raiden." She utters her worry about me, but I reassure her that I knew Bryson more than anyone and he would never hurt me. After she leaves to head back over to Raiden, I took a step toward Bryson. He growled and stormed to the window, not caring that he was stark naked and anyone down below would be able to see him. "All of this could have been avoided," he growled, his voice more beast than man, and making the walls shake with how powerful he was. He whipped around, glaring at me. "You didn't have to run away. If you had told me, I would have taken care of it." My eyes narrowed, now understanding why he was furious. "How would you, Bryson? By going against the council and risking the entire pack." Bryson's chest grumbled as he took a powerful step forward. I didn't back down. I was not afraid of his beast, not when I could overpower him. The bastard was right there. I could have gotten rid of him. "Silas, he was there," he boomed. I didn't flinch. Instead, I growled back. "Killing him would only make the council shed our blood. They would have known, and then what? They'd still eventually find out what I am." Bryson paced the floor, his wolf snarling, and now his claws was out. Because of them I lost years of not being in my son's life and being by your side. I will kill them. There's no other way. I will kill them all. He turned to me, his eyes still holding that anger, but at least it was not directed at me. They found you. My heart dropped, only to start beating quickly. Way to fucking explode a bomb on me, Bryson! I hissed, looking around the room as though any second now someone from the council would jump from anywhere and attack me. Bryson's beastly eyes looked at me. We don't know if that is for sure. My dad was the one who told me. Well, that doesn't make it any better. His dad was never wrong. I run a hand through my hair, wincing when my fingers caught a knot. Damn it! Instead of telling him everything there and then, I fucked him, potentially making the council inch closer to us. Raiden and I have to go, I whispered, turning around to leave, but a very loud, terrifying growl made the walls shake. It was wild and untamed, furious. You're not leaving. None of us will. If they come, we will be prepared. I'll tear their flesh off their bones if I have to. No one is touching my family. Bryson growled, his beast voice more animal and dangerous. 103. Emily's Pav. The sound rattled the door, and I watch it shudder, wincing as my ears ring and my body grows cold. I had never been terrified of Bryson and knew I was stronger, but with him in his beast mode, he had a lot to fight for, and I didn't think I would be able to beat a man who's fighting for his family to stay. My shoulders sank, not in disappointment that I could not leave, but because he was right. I will not leave. That's exactly what the council want. For me to leave, for me to be on the run. They loved the chase. I just have to catch them first. I turn around, my eyes misty. His loud growls fade until I could barely catch it, as his eyes caught sight of my teary eyes. His features soften and his wolf slowly starts to give him back the control he had lost. The red flickered, but his human eyes were showing more, which indicated that he was getting a grip of his wolf. I nod, my eyes dropping to the floor. I'm sorry for saying that. It has become an instinct. I just don't want them to hurt Raiden. I sat at the edge of the bed, pinning my gaze on the floor as though it was some kind of fine painting. I know. Bryson's voice is still gruff as his wolf is still present. But you do not have to fear them any longer, baby. I am here and I will protect you both. His words made me fawn and my heart to melt, because they were coated with truth, and I knew that he would do as he said. He'd protect us. I lift my gaze to his and couldn't help it. I got to my feet and rushed to him, knocking him off his feet. We fell in on the floor, me on top of him, and him under me. I raised my head, smiling down at the man I should have never left. If time would rewind, I would not have listened to Mom and run away. I should have stayed to fight. Yet, perhaps I wouldn't have met my dear sister Lucy and my real dad. They were the treasure I needed to find. Bryson's eyes twinkled, returning to his normal eye color in seconds as he laughed. You're stronger than me, huh? I nod, biting my lip. He raises his head and kissed me softly. Well, I guess we have to see that for ourselves, he smacked my butt, my brows furrowed. What do you mean? He grinned, pecking my lips again as he hugged me. I mean, we're going to see how truly strong you are. I nod, knowing he meant we'd have to fight. This is how werewolves determine who is superior, but I know Bryson was only going to do this to make sure I would be ready for the threat that was coming. Raiden's awake. Lucy's voice cuts through my thoughts. Okay, I'm coming to him soon. Make sure you at least put some clothes on when you do. Lucy snorted. I flushed and Bryson tugged my hair behind my ear. We were still on the floor. Raiden's awake. His eyes sparkled when he heard his son's name and a huge grin emerged on his face. He is? I nod, and his grin widened, but then it slowly turns into a frown. I can't see him right now. I'd not be able to leave if I see him. I need to talk to Falcon and Shawn. We need to figure out what's going on and how they found you. I nod, understanding him as I got off his body. Brian sits up, pouting slightly when I cover up. I raise a brow. Did you not have something important to do? His bottom lip rolled between his teeth and he bites down gently. You. I felt the flush of heat on my skin when his words gently brushed my ears. I tore my eyes away, knowing I would easily get turned on again. I have to check up on Raiden, and you have to talk to Falcon. He was hard. He walks over to me and kisses my head. I promise to protect you and Raiden Emily, with my life. I sighed, melting to him and closing my eyes. He kisses my head again, his lips lingering there. Go before I really do bend you over and have my way again. I didn't need to be told twice. I made sure I looked decent, and with one last kiss, I stepped out the door and made my way into the room they assigned me and Lucy. She's up with Raiden, and she's showing him the paintings on the wall. Once he heard me enter, he beams. "Mama!" he squealed as I took him from Lucy, kissing his forehead. I kissed him again, breathing in his scent as I looked at Lucy. She has a smirk on her lips and giggles. I blush and awkwardly looked away. "I thought it would only be talking, Missy," Lucy teased. I turned around, embarrassment on my face. "Well, we did." Afterward, I uttered in embarrassment. It was humiliating knowing my sister knew what me and Bryson were doing in there. "Sure," Lucy giggled and followed me. I sighed and sat on the bed, tucking Raiden in my arms protectively. Lucy notices the way I held him, and her brows furrowed. "Something is wrong, isn't it?" she whispered, plopping down beside me. I nod, running my hand through Raiden's hair. "They found us," I whisper and looked at her. "The council, they found us. I don't know how, but they did. Someone must have told them, or there is a spy who followed us." Upon hearing my words, Lucy's eyes glow with the prints of her wolf, and she snarls, canines flashing out of her gums and scaring Raiden. "Kira," she roared, standing to her feet. "It's that bitch. I know it." 104. Emily's Pav. Panic surged in me at her voice and the way her body stiffened and cracked. She was on the verge of shifting, which meant she was beyond livid. I had to stop her before she really do kill Kira, who may be innocent. There were many possibilities, and we couldn't point fingers to only one person. "Lucy," I shout, rising to my feet and holding Raiden to me. He clung to me, his body shivering with fear. When Lucy got furious, it takes a lot to calm her down, especially with her now knowing the council would soon breathe down our necks. We were endangered, and her instincts to murder anyone who betrayed us was on an all-time high. Before I could stop her, her hand was already on the knob, prying the door open before I could make her change her mind. But I am relieved to see Bryson had just walked out his door, and upon noticing her mid-shift, he stalls and turned to stop her. She snarls at him, "Let go of me. I will murder this woman." Bryson looks over her shoulder at me, confused on who she was referring to. Lucy thinks Kira is the one who told the council. Bryson looks back at Lucy. "We have not figured out who did, so you can't just go around killing anyone. We're also not on my territory. I will question Kira." Lucy did not like his response, and her back cracks. I know it's her. A loud snarl bellowed out of her mouth as she tries to fight Bryson off. I'm growing worried because I know if anything and she ticks, she'd only see red and fight with Bryson. Lucy calmed down. Bryson growled, his alpha side getting frustrated that Lucy was overpowering his strength. If I didn't stop them now, Lucy would grow impatient and fight him. "Lucy," I called out to her. She's trembling with fury, and I had a feeling my voice did not crack the fog of anger rattling her. I set Raiden on the bed, telling him to go sit high up the headboard and to stay there. He looks nervous and scared, but my little boy was smart and did what I told him to do with a nod. I looked back at Lucy and Bryson, who were having a stare-off. Bryson was frustrated that she would not listen to him, but Lucy was furious and wanted blood. I rushed over to them, my hands on Lucy's shoulder. She growled, It's her, I know it." The thing is, even if it was Kira, we had no proof. We couldn't let Lucy attack her and she wind up being innocent. We don't know that for sure, Lucy. Let Bryson go and calm down. We will figure things out before we hast into something we don't know. Bryson looked at her. It could be anyone. Falcon. Anyone. Let me find out first, and I promise you I will take care of them. Lucy searched his eyes, and after a few nods, letting him go where she held his wrist. Shawn had just peeked through down the hall, and he looked out of breath. Bryson must have mind-linked him to come, hoping he'd be able to calm down Lucy. Her eyes narrowed on Bryson. "Fine, but I find out it is her. Allow me to be the first to tear off her skin from her bones." Shawn whistled as he walked over to us. Lucy, just noticing him here, loses all her cool and shrinks back, flushing brightly, far from the angry beast she was seconds ago. Shawn leaned on the opposite wall, his eyes twinkling with amusement. "Is that so?" He cocked an eyebrow, waiting for her reply. She stuttered, flushed even more, and rushed back into the room. "I'll go check up on Raiden." Shawn chuckled, licking his lips as he pushed off the wall. "Your sister is special." He chuckled, but I can tell he meant those words. I nod, smiling, knowing Lucy had heard him too. Bryson looked over my shoulder worriedly. "Shawn, stay here to guard, just in case she tries to go after Kira." My brows furrowed, and I crossed my arms over my chest, popping my hip. "What are you saying, Bryson? I can handle Lucy." He looked down at me with a frown. "I know you can, baby, but you also have to worry about our son." He looked over at Raiden, who giggled loudly as Lucy played with him. His little head turned to us, and he spotted his dad instantly. "Come play with me, Daddy." My heart squeezed as I look at how brightly Raiden looked at Bryson, and peering over at Bryson, I could just fall to my knees as he stared at our son like he was his world. "I will, son, right after I speak to someone," he promised, smiling so happily. Raiden's little lips jut in a pout. "Promise?" Bryson nods. "I promise." He talked to Raiden for a couple before bringing his attention back to me. He leaned forward and gave me a soft peck on the lips. "I will be back." I nod. "Whoa, when did that happen? You two are back to boning like rabbits." Shawn faked gasp, looking between Bryson and me. My cheeks flamed, and I wanted nothing more but to crawl into a hole. Shawn chuckled loudly while Bryson sent him a glare. "You two reek of each other. Anyone can tell." Shawn added, winking at me, knowing fully well that he was feeding me something more embarrassing. "Where's Kira?" Bryson questioned him, to which Shawn lifted one of his shoulders in a shrug. "No idea. One of the guards stationed at front said she went out for a run after storming out." Bryson hummed, nodded, and turned to me. "I will be back. I'll send someone to buy clothes for everyone." I nod, and we bid each other goodbye. I stare at his back worriedly, feeling something around here was off. "You two are trying for another one, huh?" Shawn suddenly pulled me out of my thoughts. My brows are pinched in confusion when I turn to him. "What?" Shawn nudged his chin to Raiden, his eyes twinkling in mischief. "You two are trying to make another one, huh?" My mouth gaped as I got his meaning, and I stammer. He laughed and looked over my shoulder, his face returning serious. "I'd never think the moon goddess would give me someone so beautiful." Kira's Pav, right after Bryson rejects her. My soul, my heart, the pain. I wanted nothing more than to rip my own heart out of my chest. It hurt. I skipped the stairs, brushing past wolves and guards. I opened the door and darted to the forest. I needed to be alone. I needed to move away from this pain. I shifted midair, my clothes tearing, my paws dig into the soul, and my wolf whimpers as the thick foliage covers around us. He rejected me. After everything I had done for him, he rejected me. For her. For a woman who ran away and rejected him. For a woman who hid his son. He still loved her even after all these years. I tried so hard to make him see me. The bond, it should have made him feel something, right? I wasn't the only one feeling. I had grown to love Bryson. How could I not? He was perfect and gentle. He was everything a female would wish for in a mate. When he found me that day, I couldn't be happier. It was love at first sight. But he didn't want to accept me. He only just wanted someone to help him with the pack. I accepted, hoping that one day he would grow to fall in love with me and give into the bond. I was wrong. As soon as she got back, she took back her spot, and now I was back to being no one. A rogue with no one. My wolf slows down, whimpering as I looked around. I had run far, and I was a bit further from Falcon's Park house. I stopped and sat, whimpering at the loss of my bond with Bryson. I could feel it quickly tear, and every tear was like a rip in my skin. Each passing second hurts until I felt it, the excruciating pain. Our bond wasn't torn completely because I have yet to accept the loss, so it will take a little more time. So it came to no surprise when I felt the rip and spear in my heart. Bryson was with her. I could feel it. I shifted back into my human form, clutching my heart as pain grabbed me. The pain turned into resentment. He couldn't wait. After all these years in helping him, he couldn't wait to hurt me. I scream, crying as I felt the love Bryson has for her. My nails dig into the earth, clutching for dear life. It lasted for long. It felt like an hour. I wasn't sure. When the pain subsided, I lay crippled to the forest floor, my cries now soft sobs, until I heard a crack in the air. I freeze, ceasing my cries, and lifted my head. Someone was here. Who's here? I growled just as a fairly beautiful woman emerges out of the bushes. Her red hair flowed behind her and her cocoa eyes pinned me down. There was something odd about her scent, but I couldn't put my finger on it. She smirked, lifting her white dress a little as she took a step forward. My eyes narrowed, my wolf surfacing to protect us. "Who are you?" I snarled. Her smirk only grew, and she tilted her head slightly, studying me. She looked oddly familiar, like I have seen her somewhere. It clicked when my eyes fall on the necklace with the letter M around her neck. "I know you," I whispered. "I have seen your photos in the pack house." Her head tilt and her eyes twinkle with an odd gleam. "You asked me who I am?" I nod, even though I already knew, yet it was impossible. "I'm a walking corpse," she whispered just as the wind howled. 105, Kira's Pav. I scurry to my feet, swallowing at the dead look in her eyes. Her scent was off, like a dying corpse, as she had mentioned. Yet there was also something, a tinge of living, of animal, of wolf still swirling through her veins. It was as though she was hybrid. But that was impossible and a crime. There could be no such thing as... She stepped forward again. This time she was so quick the woman is now standing before me. She tilted her head, studying me as a chill run down my spine. Her cherry-red lips spread into a wide grin. "He hurt you too, the same way he hurt me." I took a step back, on the verge of shifting so I can get away from her, but perhaps she knew my thoughts because she shook her head. "Even if you run, I'd catch you." Her fangs showed and the color drains out of my face. I said fangs because they were described for vampires, not wolves. There were a difference between them and canines. Our canines were pointy yet thick, while fangs of a vampire is long, pointy, and thin, easier to pierce through flesh. "It's impossible," I whispered, confused and stunned that she was a hybrid. "It is forbidden to be such a creature. Out of our law." She rolled her eyes and dusted a finger over a leaf. "But here I am standing before you." The taunt is heavy on her tongue. I shook my head. "This is forbidden. The council, Council created me." Her words made me freeze. The council created her? She clicked her tongue. "Well, my uncle did, the head of the council." A smirk tainted on her face. She took a step back, whistled, and began to speak over my shocked silence. "You see, when a man wants power, there is so much he would do to gain it." Her footsteps are light as she circled around me. I watch her every move. "My uncle heard a whiff of some of the council members wanting to join together to overthrow him as leader. So what do you think a man who clings to being the top, the most powerful man would do in that situation? What do you think he will do to have an upper hand on the threat?" "He created you," I whispered. She rolled her eyes. "Kira, you gotta keep up." She stopped and turned to me fully. "She knows my name?" "Yes, he did. A hybrid, half vampire, half werewolf." She smirked. Of course, I was honored to be the first test run, especially after Bryson broke my heart. I looked away at the mention of him. "Did he tell you how I died?" My brows drew as I tried to remember what Bryson had told me. "He said you were killed accidentally, but didn't say anything else." She snorted. Of course he wouldn't, because his mate was the one who did the honors. "Emily killed her?" She snorted. "Yes, innocent little Emily. Who would have thought she had the audacity to kill me, Maya, daughter of a beta?" She sounded upset, livid as she mentioned Emily's name. She started pacing the forest floor, gritting her teeth as she now spoke to herself. I didn't think she was a white wolf and had the power. My uncle had planned for me to accidentally die, not be killed by a fucking low omega bitch. I contemplated if to just leave this obviously crazed girl alone and escape back to the pack house. I shouldn't have left. This had not been the plan. I just wanted to kill the bitch. She touched her throat, and that's when I saw scars that showed that her throat had been ripped open. Not have her kill me. She must have had the vampire blood in her system before Emily killed her. That is the only way she is still alive after that nasty wound. "So you are just a puppet to your uncle? A rag doll so he can use for his power?" I had not meant for my thoughts to come out of my mouth. When they did, I was surprised, but then terrified, when her cruel eyes snapped to mine. She snarled. "You think this doesn't come with power? I am the strongest being. No one can beat my power. I cannot die. Do you think I would stupidly do my uncle's bidding without gaining something in return? If I cannot be Luna, then I at least can be the strongest." "Strongest?" I uttered. Hybrids were undeniably strong, they did not live long, and with Emily and her sister being white wolves. Do you not know about Emily and her sister? Even though I hated Emily with a passion, one thing was clear: she and her sister had that sense of authority, of power. Her face turned bitter. Of course I do. Who do you think set their house on fire? I have been tracking down that bitch for years. Then you know, you cannot possibly take them even with vampire blood running through your veins. The council will know what your uncle is up to, and you will not live for long. This gain was not worth it, I pointed out, feeling pity for her. Power was something vile, something that can make an ordinary person craze. I never wanted power from Bryson. It was never my need to be a Luna. I did it for him because he was my mate, and at that time, I thought one day he'd change his mind. But clearly this was all wishful thinking that would never come true. Maya visibly didn't like my words. Her eyes burned with fury, and in a second she grasped my neck in her hand. I gasped as her nails dig into my skin, drawing out blood as she rages. I'll show you. Her eyes bid with red, her fangs pushing out of her gums. As she lifted her wrist to her mouth and plunged her fangs into her flesh, I gasped as her hold around my neck tightened and my claws scrap around her hand to meet bone, but she did not relent. Instead, her eyes glowed with cockiness. Ready to be a pawn in my game, little wolf? 106. Kira's Pav. The next few moments were like a blur. One moment I was standing on my feet, the next I am on the ground, my vision blurring as I saw feet a few inches before my face, and then everything went dark. I woke up to frantic voices. They were some hushed ones that sounded panicked. Lift her up and get her to the pack house, one demanded. Sounded very familiar, but I couldn't seem to find my strength to crack my eyes open. There is sudden movement, and I can feel myself being lifted in strong arms. My body tenses, the feeling so odd as a wave of nausea washes over me. I groan softly, attempting to open my eyes, but it feels like they are glued shut. The scent of pine and earth surrounds me, and the quick thudding beneath me tells me I'm being carried. Kira, can you hear me? A voice cuts through the blurry haze. It's the same familiar voice, tinged with concern. I managed to mumble, my throat feeling dry and scratchy. Something was wrong with my body. There's a fire, something odd shifting in my veins. I can't pinpoint it, but something was happening to me. We're almost there, the voice reassures me the second the darkness grips me again. Bryson's Pav. Are you sure about this, Bryson? Falcon hummed and leaned back, lifting his finger to his lips, brows scrunching in a thoughtful expression. I nod. If I didn't trust you, Falcon, I wouldn't have told you anything. They want my mate dead. Falcon lifted his brows in surprise when I uttered the word mate. I cussed inwardly. Em and I were not mated anymore, but the bond was building back. Soon we will be so hell with it. I mean, the mother of my child. There are certain issues the council has with her, us. I do believe I remember when the council tore every pack upside down to look for her. I froze. Falcon shook his head. Don't make your mind wander to that place, Bryson. As you've said, you can trust me. There's no one more who hated the council more than me, and you of people know why. It wasn't me who told them about your mate. I felt my shoulders slackened from the weight of anxiety. Falcon's mate was killed by the council for being a witch 7 years ago. They burned her alive before he could get to her. Their excuse was that she was bewitching werewolves and luring them to their deaths. Everyone knew it was only because our kind do not mingle with theirs. Many packs were going to turn against them there and then, but some were still not convinced that the council needed to diminish. Falcon leaned forward, his fingers linked together as her rest them on the red oak table. There is no one more than me who wants them all dead, his eyes flashed. Their ruling needs to end, and every sane wolf knows it. I nod, agreeing with him. Hell, I bet many packs would agree too. For the last few years, the council had been bullies, and their ruling was not to the shifters' benefits. Many packs were turning against them. It was only time until we all grafted together to wage war on the bastards. Perhaps the time is now. Falcon's expression softened when he looked back at me. I know what it's like to lose someone you love to the council. I won't let it happen to you. I nod, swallowing. The thought of the council knowing where we are was sickening me. I was trying to act tough for M, for my son. But goddess, I was drowning with fear. Fear that I was not strong enough to fight and to win. Going up against the council was suicide. Everyone knew that, which is why Pax had yet to form the alliance to take them down. But there is a shift within the shifters after the council murdered Falcon's mate. Maybe now the Pax would have a reason to align and to take them down once and for all. White wolves had never been an issue until they made it one. They fed shifters with lies about white wolves, and it was about time many had to refuse to swallow bullshit. We need a way to align the Pax without them knowing. Falcon hummed, looking at the window to his left. I am relieved that Falcon was on my side and would be helping me. It's going to be difficult not having them get a wind of it. They already know she is here. I am certain they will do a sneak attack, thinking we have no idea they know where she is at. I grumble, my face pinching with distress. Falcon smirked, leaning forward. And that's why we need to draw every pack here. They won't expect it. He was right, my brows furrowed in thought. They wouldn't know what to expect. We can have the upper hand. But how much time do we have to prepare? There was no telling when the council will get here. There really was not. We need a distraction, Falcon said, reading me like an open book. We need them to be distracted for a few days. I perked up at this. If we can manage to distract them for a few days, we can prepare. How do we plan to do that? I uttered aloud and looked at the desk. I had Shawn waiting in the hallway, and so was Falcon's beta. Falcon smirked. Simple. We cause a bit of a havoc. My eyes lift to his. With death. 107. Bryson's POV. Falcon's smirk widened. No death. Yet. Chaos. Confusion. We need them to be preoccupied with internal issues while we prepare for their arrival. I considered his words. Creating chaos within the council could buy us the time we needed, but it was a risky move. The council was cunning, and any error could lead to serious problems we would not win against. There was a rumor going about that one of the council elders have recently made a deal with a witch for gain. Another was rumored to have spent a good chunk of the council's savings on women. Another was also rumored to have killed the other mate through forced sex. Falcon leaned back, a sly smile playing on his lips as he nods. We expose their secrets. The council is not as united as they appear. There are internal power struggles, hidden alliances, and skeletons in their closets. If we bring those to light, it could fracture their false unity. It made sense. The council relied on an image of strength and unity, but if we could tarnish that image, it might cause chaos among their ranks. Dig into their pasts, find their vulnerabilities, and make it public. Let the Pax see the truth. It will give them more of an urge to see that the council have weak points, Falcon continued, his voice low. I nodded, realizing the potential of Falcon's plan. We needed someone with the skills to infiltrate and expose their secrets without leaving a trace back to us. I have someone in mind who can hack into their system, find out who spent what, but we need someone in the inside to spread out the information, Falcon uttered. I nod. I think I may have someone in mind. My father knows of someone, but how long will it take for this person you speak of to hack into their system? Falcon seemed to be in thought. Our hacker, known as Sarah, is one of the best in the business. She can breach their security in a few hours given that we tell her now, maybe less. Once we have the information, we will spread it strategically and causing turmoil within the council. I nod. This made sense, and if we played our cards right, this can work as a good distraction. The council feed on power. They will not want other packs to see their vulnerability. This could serve as a very good distraction to our benefit. Okay, I will call Sarah and you speak to the one you have in mind. We must make haste on this. This can't go slow. Falcon added while standing up. I nod, getting up as well. His eyes grow foggy and he nod. Michael is coming back with the clothes you have requested for your mate, her sister, and your son. My heart skips when I heard my mate and son. I only hope I had what we have planned works. We needed a bit more time. Falcon walks over to me and pats me on the shoulder. We won't let them get her and your son Bryce. You can count on my word. I swallowed. There is nothing more I want in this world but to see Emily and our son protected and happy. Knowing that I at least had someone to help me out to reach at least one step ahead in protecting the two people I hold dear was relieving. I trusted Falcon. We both had a bone to pick with the council. Combining forces and recruiting was a very good idea. We needed to fight, and we needed as much people to fight with. As we spoke more on the plan, suddenly the door burst open and Shawn looks at me frantically. My heart dropped and I swallowed. Was it Emily, Raiden, Kira? A warrior found her knocked out cold on the forest floor a good distance away from the pack house. Kira was no longer my mate, but of course she was still part of my pack and had helped me when I needed her to. Hearing something may have happened to her still grew my worry. Did they pick up a scent or something that can indicate what happened? I questioned, walking toward the door. I had cut off the mind link so no one would disturb me when I was speaking to Falcon about the council and Emily. Falcon had done the same, which is why we left our betas stationed at the door to be on the lookout and be our ears for the moment. Shawn shook his head. They said they caught no strange scent. They just found her face first on the forest floor. No one should have breached my territory. It is very rare. Falcon pointed out, his voice swirling with a mix of confusion and truth. My territory was heavily guarded, and any intrusion should have been detected by our border warriors. His eyes turned foggy, and in a few minutes he uttered, "No one suspected a thing. Bryson is still beside Kira and is waiting for us." I nod. "Shawn, stay with Emily. I will go to Kira to see what really happened." Shawn looked a bit reluctant but nodded and left to go check up on Emily. Falcon and I went to Kira, shifting in our wolf form to get there faster. When we got there, Kira is still on the forest floor, but her breathing seems steady. If this was an attack, I would smell blood, but there was no such thing. She didn't even look touched. "Did anyone at the border notice anything?" Falcon asked the two warriors who stood beside Kira. They shook their heads no. "We only found her here Alpha. We heard nothing, nor did we pick up on any alarming scent." His voice has a bit of a panic undertone. Falcon brows draw and he look as confused as I am. "Lift her up and get her to the pack house." He and I both know something was odd about this. It couldn't be the pain of breaking the bound with her that caused this, could it? I also couldn't resist Emily and slept with her when the bound was still there a little bit. Perhaps she felt some pain of this. My heart shatters. Though I was never in love with Kira, she had turned out to be a good friend. The last thing I wanted was to hurt her. Guilt riddled me numb, and I swallowed. I picked her up and she stirs but doesn't wake up. I will say, there is something a bit odd about her scent. A tinge of something bitter, 108. Bryson's Pav. The pack doctor pushed us out of the room and told us he'd need more time to examine Kira. He mentioned something was off as we suspected, but he wasn't quite certain it was what he feared. As we anxiously waited in the dim-lit hallway, the air was thick with a lot of tension. It feels like hours, but it has only been minutes. "This feels like a distraction," Falcon suddenly uttered, his hands in his pant pockets as he leaned back against the wall. I couldn't help but nod. "Do you think this has something to do with the council?" Falcon lifted a shoulder into a shrug, looking away and having his eyes settle on the far wall with a calculating glare. "It can be. Think about it. Kira knows Emily is back. Now all of a sudden she's found unconscious on the forest floor with no signs of struggle or at least blood. My brows draw as I contemplate his words. Would it be possible for Kira to be the traitor? Falcon returns his gaze to mine. Kira can very well be the one who has been the mouse in all of this. I chewed on my lips. Somehow I didn't want to believe the girl who I saved could very well be the traitor. What motive would she have? She had been good to me for years, and only recently did we have a bit of a tiff because Emily came back into my life. But would this give her enough motive to betray me? I didn't quite think Kira would betray me, not when she spent years trying to capture my heart. Falcon sighed and pushed off the wall. I will call Sarah. We can't have this distract us from our plan. I nod. He was right. I couldn't let this push us back. We needed to be quick if we want to have a chance to defeat the council. Falcon was just about to bid his goodbye when the pack doctor emerged, his expression a mix of concern and contemplation. I've seen some rarity before, but this is different, he confessed, his voice strong with confusion and disbelief. There's a disturbance in her aura, a friction that I can't quite pinpoint as yet or how it was even possible. It's as if something unseen is at play. Falcon and I exchanged uneasy glances, realizing that our suspicions were only the tip of the iceberg. Something was going on, and it didn't feel like we would find out anytime soon. His brows furrowed as he suggested, "I need more time to figure this out. This may take some time. What I can tell you is that we need her chained to the bed and sedated." My brows lifted high when I heard his words. Keep her chained to the bed? Was it that bad? "Ebro, what have you discovered and are too afraid to tell us?" Falcon hissed lowly, his eyes pinning down Ebro, who shrank under his gaze. "Alpha," he swallowed, looking unsure. The man's face had beaded sweat on his forehead, and even his brows looked shiny. The stench of nerves rolled off him like waves. "She is under transition." Falcon and I gave each other confused stares. "Transition? What do you mean, transition?" Kira was part of my pack, and I had the right to know what's going on. Ebro swallowed and looked back at the room. "She seems to be," he looked back at me, swallowed again before uttering with a bit of fear, "transitioning into a vampire." 109 Bryson's Pav, my eyes widened in disbelief. "How can this be? A vampire? Are you sure of this?" Ebro nodded, his hands fumbling nervously. "I know it sounds absurd, but I've examined her thoroughly. Her body is undergoing a transformation that aligns with that of a vampire. Her blood," he shakes his head, his mouth forming a line. "The vampire blood is quickly spreading into her bloodstream." Falcon and I exchanged incredulous glances. How did this even happen? Did she willingly take vampire's blood into her system? If so, what would be the reason, and where did she get it? This seems very unlikely and crazy to think. I do not think Kira would do something as stupid as this. It's rare for hybrids to live for longer than 6 years. No one has ever been able to transform without consequences. Why would she risk her life for something so trivial? Unless she did it to seem more superior than Emily? I shook my head. Even that didn't make sense. The real question was, where in the hell did she get the blood? How is that even possible? How can she possibly be transforming? Falcon muttered, voicing the doubt that echoed in my mind. Ebro shrugged helplessly. "I can't explain it, but the signs are there. Her aura is changing, her body is responding to it. It's like she's caught between two worlds." Falcon's expression turned stern. "What are the results of this? How dangerous is she? Should we be worried?" Ebro hesitated before responding, choosing his words carefully. "Vampires, they are known for their thirst for blood, especially when they first change. If Kira is indeed transitioning, we can't predict how her instincts will manifest. But give me some time to see if I can be able to stop this transitioning. We cannot afford to play with the unknown." I rubbed my temples, trying to make sense of the situation. I do not understand how this is happening. There were no signs of struggle, no signs of anyone around. How did she even get the blood? And the bigger question is, what in the hell do we do now? Something feels off. Kira can't just be turning into a vampire all of a sudden. This is definitely a plot to distract us and put our defenses down. Falcon pointed out with frustration. This would be the first time we are dealing with a transitioning wolf. Ebro sighed. "For now, we chain her to the bed and sedate her. I'll continue to monitor her condition and try to understand the nature of this transition. I will see if I can stop the process. We are in uncharted territory, so we must take precautions." Falcon glanced at me, his eyes reflecting the weight of the current situation. "This complicates things. We can't afford to have a potentially unstable vampire within our pack, especially with the council on our heels." I nodded in agreement. "We need to handle this carefully. Continue with the plan against the council, but keep a close eye on Kira. We can't let her become a threat to the pack." I turned to Ebro. "Do what you can to stop her transition. Keep her sedated and make sure she doesn't break free from the room. We need to investigate how she got the blood in her system. If she's in the transitioning phase, that means she killed herself or someone killed her." Falcon nodded. "If someone killed her, that means the border was weakened and none of my warrior wolves took note of it," he growled lowly, grounding his teeth. "I will have another word with them and also have Sarah do what we need her to. This can no longer wait. It is clear that the council is closer than we thought." As Falcon left to contact Sarah and resume our plan, I stayed behind staring at the closed door of the infirmary. The unexpected revelation about Kira added a layer of complications to our already horrible situation. The lines between friend and foe were becoming increasingly blurred, and the challenges we faced were going to grow more. This was certain. We couldn't trust anyone. A little part of me is disappointed that I was not guarded enough to have let things like this slip right under my nose. The last thing I want is for Em to think I was not capable to protect her and our son. And for that reason only, I kept the situation with Kira away from her when I returned to her later that night. But I should have known my girl would have figured something was off right off the bat. There was really nothing I can keep away from her, and that alone made me realize how deep this woman sank her claws into my heart. 110. Emily's Pav. The sun had set a long time ago, and it was already late. I snuck a glance at the small little clock on the nightstand. It was 10 p.m., and Raiden and I were still up. Lucy was snoring peacefully away, but I was restless. I hadn't heard from Bryson since he left, and Shawn had been stationed behind the door quietly. He had been silent and said everything was fine when I asked. I knew something was off, but amused him by pretending to believe his words. "Is Dad coming soon to tuck me in?" Raiden yawned. His eyes were slowly closing, yet he fought them to stay open. My poor boy was waiting on his dad to tuck him in. I brushed a strand of Raiden's hair away from his forehead, a soft smile on my face. "Daddy had some important work to do, baby. I'm not sure when he will be back." I continue to run my hand through his hair, my heart clenching when I see his pout. "But I am sure he will be there to have time to tuck you in." I tried to sound reassuring, not just for Raiden but for myself as well. I will not lie, I was getting a bit worried. Something was definitely going on, and I hated to be in the dark. Raiden smiled, hope shining in his tired eyes. I bit my lip, blinking. I hated that I gave him hope, and I wasn't quite certain Bryson will get here before Raiden fell asleep. It felt like I just lied to my son, and I hated that. Swallowing, I looked away and continued to play with his hair. Another 5 minutes passed by, and Raiden was growing restless. The room was quiet, except for the only sound being Lucy's light snoring. I got up, careful not to wake her, and headed towards the door where Shawn stood guard. When I opened the door, he straightened and pushed off the wall he was leaning against. His brows knot, and he looked at me in concern. "Is something wrong? Are you okay?" "Raiden, Lucy." "I am. We are." I cut him off and stepped out of the room and closed the door softly behind me. I didn't want Raiden to overhear our conversation. He was at that age where he thought he was old enough to know everything. Shawn's shoulders visibly slackened, and he let out a silent, relieved breath. My eyes narrowed slightly. "Shawn." He raised a brow, but a flash of unease passed through his eyes. "What's going on?" "It's not like Bryson to not be here at this time. Something is going on, and I need to know," I demanded. Shawn hesitated before replying. "I don't think I can answer that, Em. It's not my place to say or break his trust. I will leave it to him to tell you what's going on." Although I understood where Shawn was coming from, him not telling me only grew my frustration and worry. I didn't like being in the dark at all. But I knew Shawn would never betray Bryson by telling me. So I sighed and dropped my worried gaze to the floor. "Is he okay, though? Safe? Nothing bad happened?" Shawn snorted. "Em, you know it would take a whole lot to hurt Bryson. He's okay. He's with Alpha Falcon." That doesn't reassure me. Instead, I am overwhelmed with questions in my head. What is he and Falcon talking about? Is it still about the Council and me? Or was it completely different? Does Falcon not want to help? I am itching to know these answers to these unanswered questions. I want to know. Did anything go wrong with Falcon? I stopped when I sensed him. Bryson. I could always feel him. I always knew when he was close. That his comforting scent was never amiss. I lift my head, snapping it to the end of the hall. He's coming up. My heart races and I can't stop the smile on my face. Finally, I missed him. But when Bryson appeared in my sight, I quickly noted how his shoulders were slumped in defeat and worry lines print on his forehead. My heart drops, fearing the worst. He hadn't seen me yet because his gaze was lowered, but when he snapped his head up, our eyes connected and he straightened. I knew he was only doing this to show me that nothing happened, but I knew better. A smile curved on his face, and at least this one reached his eyes. "Baby," he sighed when he reached me and pulled me into his arms. His head tucks between my neck and shoulder, and he breathes in my scent. Shawn awkwardly looks away, yet had that amused grin on his face. I am sorry I am late. I meant to come earlier, but something came up. Do you like the clothes the girl bought for you and Raiden? And your sister, did she like them as well? I nod. It was either he missed me so much, or he didn't want me to see the worried lines I spotted afar because he keeps me tightly pressed to him with his head still tucked on my shoulder. Yes, everything fit, except for a few jeans that are a little loose for Lucy. But she hasn't complained. Okay, good, he sighed, tucking his nose closer to my neck. Please tell me I got here in time to tuck in our son? He whispered, planting a kiss on my skin and not pulling away. Something had clearly happened, but yet he was trying his best to not alert me with it. It is both irritating and angering. He's very sleepy right now, but he's been fighting it so he'd be awake for you to tuck him in. I smiled, wondering if the sleep won and we'd find Raiden fast asleep. I felt Bryson smile on my neck and pull away. I'll go tuck him in now. As he was about to open the door, I clutched his wrists, stopping him. Something is wrong, and you better not keep it away from me, Bryson. You said we are in this together, remember? He winced and looked away. Shawn begun to whistle and cleared his throat when I gave him a glare. Chill out, Em, he laughed. How about you, Bryson and Raiden, sleep in our room tonight and I sleep by Lucy? That way you three can have your privacy. I am sure none of you want to part ways. His offer was tempting, and I can see that Bryson likes the idea. But I am worried that Lucy will not like it. Come on, Lucy is my mate. You know I won't hurt her, Em. You know me. Shawn pleaded. I knew Shawn wasn't capable of hurting Lucy. I was concerned Lucy would hurt Shawn. I chewed on my lips. I'll have to ask her, Shawn. I turned to Bryson and narrowed my eyes while letting his wrist go. Don't think you're off the hook yet. You're going to tell me one way or the other. And you will speak when I ask, do you understand? There is a sudden change in my voice that shocked the two, including me. I am stunned, speechless, questioning myself inwardly if I really was the one who spoke in this way, full of authority, of power, a leader's tone, an alpha female's commanding voice. Did you just speak to me in an alpha's tone, Emily? Bryson is stunned because my tone shook him. It was not supposed to do that, but it did. Holy shit, Shawn uttered in awe. 111, Emily's Pav. Bryson's eyes widened in surprise, and for a moment he seemed to be processing the unexpected shift in my aura. My gaze bounced between the two, and I nervously bit my lip. I had not meant to sound so commanding, and I am still shook my tone and aura rang with an alpha's power. Bryson tilted his head, studying me before smiling. I don't mind you commanding me, Em. It was kind of hot. He shrugged, making Shawn fake gag and groan. Okay, enough of this before I vomit. He said seriously, his eyes shifting to me with a questioning glimmer. How are you able to do that? He switched his gaze back and forth between Bryson and me. I bit my lip because I had no explanation for this. It's because she has the power to. A soft voice behind me murmured softly, and I turn around to see Lucy cracking the door open softly. Her eyes are downcasted as though in shame, and her next words made me understand why. There's something Dad and I kept away from you, Em. Lucy's voice is so soft it would have been hard to pick up on her words if I were not a werewolf. I turned my body to her, my brows pinching in confusion. Her and Dad had secrets they kept from me? Something twisted in my gut, and I noted that it was the emotion of betrayal. Her head slowly rose, and her eyes held mine with an apologetic glint. I'm sorry, we were not sure, so we didn't think we needed to bother you about it. My heart hammered behind my chest. What could she possibly mean by this? What were they keeping from me? Tell me, I whispered, swallowing in fear. She looked away for a second, her brows joining into a frown before a sigh left her lips, and she began to speak. Dad was not just any white wolf, Em. He came from a long line of powerful white wolves who had sort of had a special ability. She stared at me nervously. White wolves can of course be stronger than an alpha, but not stronger than many alphas at once, except those who harness the power to shift into Lykans. Her words hung in the air, so heavy and so hard to digest. Lykans. We have heard about them, but they went extinct many years ago. However, we thought white wolves were no more as well. My mind raced so quickly. trying to figure out well what to think in the moment. Everything just came so suddenly today that I cannot grasp so much at once. "What are you saying, Lucy?" I whispered, unsure if I wanted to know the answer to my own question. Lucy took in a deep breath, her eyes pleading for me to understand why she hadn't told me about this. "Dad?" His father was a Lykan. He could harness the power to turn into half man and half wolf at once. In that state, he became unstoppable. It's an ability that has been passed down in our bloodline. She continued to grow nervous, shifting her gaze off mine and to Bryson and Shawn, who stood still, listening intently to her words. "The ability skips, and it skipped Dad. He thought I would have it, but—" She shook her head, looking back at me. "I didn't. I could never harness it or felt it." My heart continued to hammer against my chest as she continued on. This was not only shocking, but scary. "Are you saying?" I swallowed, pausing on my words to really register what I was about to say. "But that's not possible. I never felt any sort of power that was different." Lucy nodded. "When you were giving birth to Raiden." She looked behind as if Raiden would hear her. "I felt it. Dad, too. There was a different, chilling power that weaved off you when you were pushing." Goosebumps crawl on my skin as I recall the day I gave birth. I remember being in a lot of pain and wishing Bryson was there with me to hold my hand. My mind was so focused on making sure I gave birth to my boy, I don't remember if I felt any different other than the pain. Lucy continued. "It was commanding, powerful, enough to want me and Dad to show you our necks in submission. You don't understand, Emily. This ability to turn into a Lykan not only rule over all werewolves and alphas combined, it rules over white wolves, too." My heart skips and I shook my head. "You must have it wrong, Lucy. I don't feel the power you're speaking about." "You harness it, Emily. Why do you think your voice came out so powerful a while ago?" She pointed out. "I'm sorry we didn't tell you about it sooner. We wanted to protect you from knowing that there was a chance you'd never be the same again. With this kind of ability, it's hard to control." She looked at me nervously. "There's a chance if you shift into Lykan form, you will remain so forever. This is why the council really tried to kill off all white wolves, especially Dad. With a Lykan, we wouldn't need the council." 112. Emily's Pav. Her words weighed heavy in the air, making my head and belly feel funny. What she said was impossible. She had it wrong. She must have it wrong. I can't be a Lykan. I can't be one of the most powerful form wolf. I just can't be. "Are you certain the ability is passed down to Emily?" Bryson's voice suddenly pulled me out of my thoughts. For a second, I forgot he and Shawn were there. Lucy looked certain, nodding. "There is no mistaking it." I gulped a lump in my throat. "Why?" I whispered. My eyes were on the door, but shift to her. "Why did you keep this from me?" My voice was a mixture of desperation and frustration as I looked into her guilty eyes. "Emily," she whispered, taking a step forward only to pause when I took a step myself, though it was backward. "She looks hurt, and I didn't mean for her to be, but I was hurting right now, knowing she and Dad kept this information from me. Would she have even told me?" "I'm sorry." Her voice is soft and sincere as she apologizes. "We really thought we were protecting you. If you knew about it, there was a chance you'd try to trigger it when we were in danger. We didn't want you triggering it because we didn't know how to help you get out of the form." Though I understand where she was coming from, I still felt betrayed by two people I loved. If I had known, then maybe, just maybe, things would have been different. Lucy's eyes welled with tears, and her lower lip trembled. Shawn took a few steps towards her subconsciously to soothe her, but he paused, unsure if she would reject him or not. "I'm sorry, Em. We should have told you sooner." I shook my head, crossing my arms and digging my nails into my skin. "You should have." Lucy flinches, swallows, and looks down at her feet. "How does she trigger it?" Bryson asked, as if knowing I needed support, and stepped toward me, pulling me into a hug. Lucy lifted her head and looked sad. "That's the thing we don't know. Dad said his dad could do it on his free will, but he died when he was 5, so he never really got to the point to ask him about it." "Does anyone else know about this?" Bryson questioned again. Lucy shook her head. "No, God, no. We would never be stupid to make anyone know about us, neither would we tell anyone about Emily. This would have put her in more danger with the council. Besides, who would we tell this to?" "Me," I whispered. You could have told me. Lucy flick her eyes to me, and her lower lip tremble as she croaks out. I know, Em. Bryson squeezed me tighter as though silently reassuring me that I was okay and we would face this together. We need to find out more, Bryson suddenly said and looked down the corridor. But we will continue this more privately tomorrow. We are not sure if we have been overheard. Even though Falcon is helping, we can't trust everyone in his pack. I turn in his arms when I sense the edge in his voice, my gut twisting uneasily. My brows furrowed as I looked into the worry in his eyes, the emotion he was trying to hide from me. What happened, Bryson? I breathed out softly, keeping my eyes intently on his face to gauge his reaction. Don't keep secrets from me. I reach out to softly grasp his hand, squeezing it in a plea. His eyes soften as they stare into my own, and it honestly feels like it's just us two here until he finally confesses. It's Kira. She's turning, and we don't understand how it's happening. Nothing adds up. My brows furrowed deeper, confused by his words. What did he mean by she was shifting? What do you mean? The question tumbled out my mouth. He cringed. She's turning into a hybrid. Apparently there's vampire blood in her system. The doctor is trying his best to stop the shift from happening. My eyes widen, and I gasped. Vampire blood in her system? How did she... We have no idea how this occurred. Both Falcon and I are extremely confused by it. He shook his head, his eyes giving that faraway glimmer. He's lost in his thoughts. There's only one way for her to be shifting, if she was killed or killed herself, which means we either have a traitor amongst us or Kira is the traitor. His words hit me, and disbelief and uncertainty made me nervous. If Kira was turning into a hybrid, what would that mean for her? What would it mean for us? How did she even get the vampire's blood in her system? I whispered, unsurely. This was bad. Really bad. This is what we're trying to figure out. Bryson whispered and reached out to grasp my arm, squeezing gently in assurance. Kira is a member of my pack, and it's my responsibility to make sure she's okay, but... He paused, his eyes turned stern. If she poses a threat for you and Raiden, I will take care of her. His words sent a shiver down my spine. The idea of Bryson getting rid of Kira, who had been by his side for years, just for Raiden and me, made me realize the lengths he'd go to protect us. 113. Emily's Pav. We called it a night, all of us way too exhausted from the events of today to stay up and talk about it more. Sensing that I was still frustrated with her, Lucy surprisingly agreed to sleep beside Shawn tonight to give Bryson more time with Raiden and me. She looked saddened and apologetic, and I knew I shouldn't be too hard on her. After all, she was trying to protect me in her way. Yet, her way may have just put us more in danger. As I curled on the bed with Raiden snuggled between Bryson and I can't help but be scared of the unknown and what we were about to face as a family. Not only was the council at my neck for accidentally killing Maya, but I had an ability I wasn't sure how to tap into and possess. And what if I did? What if I managed to shift into the Lykan form? What if I can't shift back? What if I lose control and hurt the ones that I love? So many what-ifs. What are you thinking? Bryson's low questioning tone made me shift my attention to his. I had been staring at Raiden's sleeping form in fear, and I just realized I was clutching the sheets covering his smaller body tightly. I am scared. I swallowed. Even though he looked as tired as he sounded, Bryson reached over to push away some of my strands off my cheek. He looked at me worriedly, a line twisted between his brow. You can't sleep. I shook my head sadly. How can I when there are so many threats? I looked down at my baby and smiled sadly. I am even a threat to our baby. My eyes misted with tears as I snapped my eyes up and looked at Bryson. No, he whispered, lifting up slightly to look down at me tenderly while rubbing his thumb over my cheek. You can never be a threat to Raiden or anyone, Em. I shook my head, sobbing low as I pulled away from both he and Raiden. Unable to think that I can shift into a Lykan and potentially not be able to control it. What if I hurt them? What will even trigger me? Fear? Anger? What? It felt like fate was playing a game with me where I would surely lose. I hated this. You don't know that. Not even Lucy knows how to trigger it, or how to even go back to normal. I don't even know what a Lykan looks like, Bryson. What if I scare Raiden or worse? My eyes dropped to his little sleeping figure, my heart thrumming with love as the soft sounds of his snores reach my ears. What if I hurt him? I shook my head, gripping the sheets and tempted to peel away from both Raiden and Bryson completely. How would I even tell when I am on the verge of shifting? How would I even know? No, I whispered, sitting up and refusing to look over at him. You don't know either, Bryson. You can't reassure me if you don't know either. The sound of a light tussle of sheets being thrown made me turn in his direction to see that he had removed the covers off him and had slid off the bed. His determined soft eyes lock onto me, and he walked over. I interlocked my fingers on my lap, dropping my gaze to them as I fumbled. Emily, Bryson called out to me as he stopped beside the bed, just breaths away from me. I twisted to face him, slowly rising my gaze to his. His eyes softened when he noticed my hot tears, and he pulled me into his arms instantly. My head pressed to his naked chest, and I soaked his skin with my tears. My entire body shook as I cried silently, not wanting to wake up Raiden and have him see me like this. I'm sorry, I gasped, clutching onto Bryson like my life depended on it. Sorry for what, baby? Bryson cooed, running a hand down my head in a comforting way. I can hear his heart beating under my ear, and the rhythm is so fast that I knowed that despite his calm exterior, he wasn't as calm inwardly. My chest tightened, and I find it so difficult to breathe in the moment. I gasp, clutching him as the tears flowed freely without a barrier to hold them in any longer. My shoulders shook and Bryson clutched me tighter, whispering words that were supposed to calm me down. I'm so sorry. I tumble out of my lips and my lower lip trembling as I pull away from him to look up at his face. He has that worried frown between his brows and his eyes are deep with concern. He cupped my cheek, running a hand across my skin and wiping my tear-stained face. What are you sorry for, Em? His confusion is strongly in his words as his eyes search mine for answers. You did nothing wrong. I shook my head, lifting my hand to grasp his hand that held my face delicately. I pulled his hand away and shook my head again, my eyes snapping down to his chest that is still wet with my tears. I'm so sorry the moon goddess partnered you up with someone like me. I am so sorry for being a burden. Unable to keep a sob from tearing out of my throat, I let it go freely and watch as Bryson tenses at the sound. I am so sorry out of everyone you ended up with a complication like myself. I looked up and our eyes meet. He's staring at me with disbelief and pain. I will understand if you take Raiden and go to somewhere safe and leave me behind. I nod as if my words were the words from God himself. It would be a good decision. It would be the best. No. The gruff, sharp no made me pause the words on my tongue, and I looked at Bryson stunned by the raw frustration in his voice. His eyes narrowed, and he looked angry, irritated, and in disbelief. No, I will not take our son, he began to grit, and leave you behind for something so little. I shook my head. Little? Bryson, the entire council is behind me. I don't give a damn. He snapped loudly, completely forgetting our son was fast asleep behind me. When he saw Raiden shift and stir slightly, his voice dropped a little, but he remained frustrated and angry. I don't give a damn if 1,000,000 wolves are behind you. I don't give a damn if all shifters are after you. I don't give a damn if you will turn into a beast and can't turn back human. He lowered his face until our eyes are leveled and we are practically breathing the same air. Because I will love you either way. I will still love you, Emily. He cupped my cheek and pulled my head closer, his forehead resting on mine. There's no other person I'd want to have by my side, no other person I'd leave everything behind for. Where you go, I go. No more running, remember? I clenched my eyes tightly and nod, remembering that I did promise I would no longer run. He sighed. You're mine. A finger grazed my cheek, rubbing away the fresh set of tears I now realized flowed out. And I am yours. Where you go, I will go. My home is with you and Raiden. Our souls are tied. We are one. Your enemy is my enemy, and your breath is my breath until death. 114. Lucianda's Pav. Damn you, Lucy. You should have told her. You shouldn't have kept such a huge secret from her. I can't help but feel saddened at the thought of Emily never being able to forgive me for keeping something like this from her knowledge. If I was her, I'd be more furious, feel more betrayed. My shoulders drop in defeat, knowing I would have a lot of groveling to do to make her forgive me for my stupidity. I shifted the pillow once more, my mind far away until a voice broke through my train of thoughts. Did the pillows do something to you? I snapped my attention to him, Shawn, my mate. He's making a makeshift bed on the floor, just by the foot of the bed. A pillow is in his hand, and he lightly punches it to perhaps make it more comfortable. My brows furrowed at his question. I beg your pardon? His eyes shift to the pillows I had shifted more than once, and I flushed in embarrassment. I had set them in a line, resting all against the headboard. I had been shifting them over and over and never satisfied. But that's because I was so lost in my thoughts about Emily and the secret I had kept from her that I didn't realize how many times I removed and put them back. Clearing my throat, I stammered. I just like them lined up properly. I like to keep them color-coded, too. Shawn's eyes sparkle with amusement, one of his brow arching slightly, and he smirked. Color-coded pillows, huh? He chuckled lowly and continued to prep his makeshift bed. As I looked at him arranging the pillows on the thick covers, he took off the bed. I can't help but sense the awkwardness in the room. The air felt heavy with unsaid words we wanted to say to each other, and I couldn't think of a way to cut through the tension. Still, as I peer at him, I can't help but bite my lip. Shawn had removed his shirt off his body and stayed with loose gray sweats hanging impossibly low on his hips. A tattoo of a wolf imprinted on the left side of torso just beside that tempting V-line. I licked my lips and dragged my eyes across his body. He was perfect in every way anyone could imagine a beautiful man. He was a fine specimen. With abs, I wanted to trace my fingers across to that little birthmark right in the middle of his chest. He was perfect. Suddenly a throat clears, ripping me out of my thoughts once again. I swiftly tore my eyes from his body and snapped my eyes up to meet his. The corners are crinkled because of the smile he spotted on his face, and I blushed furiously under his gaze. Clearing my throat, I looked away, obviously knowing it would be useless to deny that I wasn't checking him out. It's okay, Snow White, you can continue looking if you want, he joked, throwing the last pillow on his makeshift bed and settled down on the uncomfortable-looking bed. He propped himself on his elbow and grinned. You can also come closer, I won't bite. He baited. I rolled my eyes, acting unaffected even though my body said otherwise. I was only thinking that you can sleep on the bed. When I saw his raised eyebrow, I paused to explain quickly. Because your idea of a makeshift bed is horrible. You'll get bad aches when you wake up the next morning. Oh? Shawn grinned, his eyes twinkling. Are you worried about me, Snow White? I wrinkled my nose and screwed my face in annoyance. Stop with the Snow White, and no, I'm just trying to be nice here. Shawn didn't look convinced and eyed me for a few before surprising me when he suddenly rose to his feet, grinning from ear to ear. Well then, I can't have my mate worried about me and can't deny her of having my warm body beside hers. My face flamed and I stuttered for a few until gulping and glaring at him. I am not going to sleep with you. Shawn had that amused quirk on his lips, and his eyes shone with even more playfulness. I never said you would. He shrugged, picking up the pillow on his makeshift bed and walking over to me. I pointed at the other side of the bed. This is your side. He raised a brow, a teasing smirk appearing on his lips. I don't know, he said softly as he neared, making the air grow thicker than it was seconds ago. I clutched the pillow in my hand and stared at him wide-eyed when he eats up the little distance between us. I think I will sleep on this side better. He tosses the pillow on the bed, smirking down at me. I leveled a glare. I will not sleep with you, Shawn chuckled, leaning down and surprised me when he flicked my forehead playfully. You said that already, Snow White. Glaring at him, I huffed. I'm not mating with you yet. I froze when his eyes suddenly pinned me down with an intense stare I could feel all the way to my toes. Oh, goddess, it's supposed to feel like this? The air grows intense, thickening with tension that I now know what it was. Finally, I get to look at your eyes up close, he breathed out. You've been avoiding eye contact the entire day. His directness catches me off guard for a moment. Why is that? He asked, his voice dropping into a hoarse tone that made me grip the pillow harder. Is it because you felt that tension too? He continued to question me, even though I have not answered the two questions he shot at me prior. I shook my head, breathing out. I won't mate you yet because I barely know you. Of course, my response has nothing to do with his question. It was kind of a reassuring word to keep myself from giving in. They were actually not directed at him at all, but a bullseye for me. A target to aim and shoot at my growing need. What the hell is this? Why do I have this burn for him? I looked into his eyes and my breath is almost stolen. Shawn nodded, smiling softly, and I completely understand. I shook my head. No, you don't. I won't sleep with you. It's too early and we barely know each other. I don't want. Then what do you want, little Snow? Shawn whispered, cutting me off and staring at me with such burning passion that all reason left my head at once. Fire consumed me, and before I knew it, I fling myself to him, dropping the pillow and latching my lips on his. You, I moaned as he lifted me up, his hands on my ass and squeezing 115, Lucianda's pav. I curled my legs around his hips, my fingers finding themselves in his hair. He smelt good, he felt good, and as his tongue traced over my lower lip and mine touched his, he tasted good too. His fingers dig into my bottom, holding me firmly as he groaned on my lips. Lucy. Lucy, Shawn sighed. As my fingers gripped his soft hair, I could feel it. That feeling he had invoked in me the second our eyes connected. It was intense and bondaged me to this feeling of need, the need for him. Shawn swept his tongue over my lower lip again, almost as if asking me for permission. He then chuckled lowly. Let me in, little Snow. I'm confused. Let him in where? I gasped when he nibbled my lips, and he took that chance to delve his tongue inside my mouth. His tongue rasped over mine, tangling and forcing a moan of pleasure from my throat. Oh, that's what he meant. I moaned into his kiss and let him take control. My body is on fire, and Shawn groaned in bliss. Then suddenly we are moving, and I am gently placed on the bed, his warm body hovering over mine, his tongue and mouth swallowing my sighs of pleasure. My body arched off the bed, wanting to be closer to him, needing to feel his skin on mine. Unable to resist, my fingertips graze against his chest, going lower and lower and touching the lines of his abs. He flexed under my touch and growled low in his throat and detached his lips from mine reluctantly, hissing when my fingers brushed against the waistband of his sweats. If you don't stop me now, I won't be able to cease my wolf from claiming you, he warned, his head lifting so he could look into my eyes. I flushed, biting my lip because I didn't want him to stop. Goddess, I didn't want him to stop. Then do it, I whispered, peering at him under my lashes. I heard the sharp intake of breath and saw how my words made him react. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow or the day after that. Those words were true. We had an invisible sword tickling just above our necks. We're as good as dead with the council on our heels. Yes, it's true we had a good fighting chance, but I am no fool to not know that the council had something up their sleeves, especially with that Kira situation. I had a feeling that this was all the council's doing. We don't know what we're up against. We don't know if we all were going to make it. But what I do know is that I want Shawn. There's no mistaking that I want him as my mate. My forever. I've always wanted someone to be my forever, and now that I can have that, the fear of knowing that it can slip from my fingers at any moment made me want to hold on to him even stronger. I want him now, before it's too late. I want you, I whispered with sincerity. I showed him my neck, submitting to him. He growled, and I feel his fingers brush along my skin, stopping where he's going to mark me. You're going to be a beta's mate, he whispered, tracing a pattern on my neck. My mate. Mine. I shivered at his possessiveness, somehow finding it even more alluring. Shawn let out a growl. God, you smell sweet. I gasped when he pressed his lower half down on mine and my eyes widened, feeling him. Oh, you feel huge. I instantly blushed in embarrassment when those words tumbled out without warning. Shawn smirked, his eyes dancing. Shawn's eyes glowed as he looked down at me, eating up the sight of my reaction to his words. He grunted, lowering to kiss my lips once more, nudging my knees apart to settle between my legs. There's a burning rage of fire coursing my body as his length pressed against me. I could feel how hard and warm he is, tempting me to push my hips forward so I can feel him more. Shawn whispered my name on my lips, and his hands trace a pattern up my body until his burning palm landed on my breast. He squeezed, and I gasped as his simple touch roused my body with more need. Shawn? I moaned, urgently needing something. He groaned, pulling his lips away only to kiss the corner of my mouth, trailing down to my neck and stopping where he is supposed to mark me. I shivered when his lips met that delicate spot, nipping and licking across my skin. He groaned with the promise, kissing and sucking my skin before moving lower. I arched off the bed, my pulse racing as his lips trailed down the area to my breasts. "You have too much on," he grunted, pulling away to rid me of my clothes. I let him until I am naked, completely desperate to feel more of the pleasure he was giving me. He smirked and lifted off me to stand at the foot of the bed. Shawn's fingers wrap around my ankles, and he suddenly tugs me around so that I am facing him completely. His eyes lit fire on my skin as he commanded me. "Spread your legs for me, little Snow." My legs tremble as I part them, knowing that he'd be seeing the most vulnerable part of me. His eyes shift to that of his wolf, and he snarls when his eyes drop to stare between my legs. "Beautiful, and all mine," he snarled, clutching the waistband of his sweats and briefs and ridding himself of both until he was as bare as me. But looking at it now, goddess, you have blessed him. A low squeal tore from my throat when his fingers wrap around my ankle and tug me forward until I was almost at the edge of the bed. With heated eyes that were filled with hunger, Shawn growled, "I'm going to taste you now, little Snow." As those hoarse words fall of his lips, Shawn bent down and settled his head between my thighs. What happens next? Nothing could have prepared me for it. 116. Lucianda's Pav. Shawn's tongue dipped in and out, his groans of satisfaction filling the air. Suckling until I swore I was at the gates of heaven. The sensation just his tongue created felt kind of electrifying, like a strong current of bottled-up feelings that burst out all at once. He flicked his tongue, and I shudder. He gripped my hips to keep me from shifting too much. I lifted onto my elbows, feeling like a current was between us, and I needed to see what he was doing to my body. I gasped when he suddenly opened his eyes, those beautiful irises trapping me into a burning stare. He groaned, holding my hips and pulling me closer to his mouth. His eyes trained on me. The room had that sense of electricity too, zapping around us like a current of fire. Shawn growled when my lips parted to say his name, intensifying the rapture I was currently feeling. "Oh, moon goddess, this feels so good." As my legs tremble and my breathing turned to short pants, Shawn lifted his head and rasped, "You taste so good." His eyes are glowing, his wolf is present. The raw need in his eyes made me shiver, and I moaned when he kissed my belly button, then trailed open-mouth kisses until he reached my breast. "Oh, Shawn," I sighed, lifting my eyes to the ceiling, as though I was seeing the heavens. This felt like heaven. I arch into his mouth. "Such a pretty color." "More," I pleaded, my hands pressing to his back. He groaned. I tilt my head, my eyes closing in pleasure as I gave him more access to me. One of his hands crawled between us, wanting him where I burned for him. My hands left his back to tangle in his hair when his lips found mine once more. "Taste how sweet you are on my tongue," he rasped, pushing his tongue between my lips and dipping into my mouth. I had never felt this kind of intrusion before, and though it felt odd, it felt so impossibly good too. I cried out, gasping and letting him torture my body with pleasure. "You like that?" I nodded quickly, spreading my thighs even more, as if silently telling him I need more. I writhe under him as he completely takes control of my body, and when I thought I could no longer take such pleasure anymore, he pulls his fingers away. I snapped my eyes open, a disapproval sound tumbling out of my lips. His eyes shine with amusement, and he kisses me on my lips gently before lifting up slightly to look down at me. "You're extremely beautiful, you know that?" he whispered, staring down at me in awe. One of his hands lifted to my hair and he brushed some of my strands off my face. "I'm so lucky." "Me too," I whispered, truly meaning those words. Even though Shawn and I had just met, there was something about him that made me trust him, something that made me know that the moon goddess gave me a gift. He shifted slightly. I sucked in a sharp breath, shivering. His eyes softened and he brushed a thumb down my cheek. "This is going to hurt a bit, but I promise it will get better after a while." I frowned. "Well, I can handle a little pain, but hopefully it won't be painful all the time." Misreading my expression, Shawn asked, "Want me to stop?" I shook my head no. "Please, I need you now. Don't you dare stop." Shawn's gaze held a mixture of concern and desire as he positioned himself, his eyes locked with mine. You will tell me if it's too much, okay? I gasped with every inch pushed inside me, clinging to his back as he stretched me so wide. He frowned in worry, stopping every second to let me adjust until I could no longer take it, and held his hips tightly and slammed his hips down myself. Fuck! His eyes widening and looked quickly down to our joined bodies. My breathing is hasty, and goddess, I'm not going to lie, it hurt like a bitch. But it felt so right. Are you okay, Lucy? He asked softly, returning his gaze to mine and trying to read my eyes. I nod, smiling. That wasn't too bad. Shawn stared at me in disbelief before a slow grin emerged on his face and a light, amused chuckle slipped past his lips. I think we can call this love at first sight. I furrow my brows in confusion, still gripping his bottom. Noticing my confusion, he smirked. Because I fell in love with you the second I set my eyes on you, little Snow. My heart slammed against my chest, and he leaned to capture my lips in a slow dance. Please tell me I can move now. 117. Emily's Pav. The dead leaves crunch beneath my feet as I weave my way through the thick, green bushes. The air was eerie, and the darkness followed me, surrounding me until I could not really see where I walked. Yet, it felt like my feet had a mind of their own, leading me to a place I am not familiar with. Where am I? I don't know. Nothing feels familiar, nothing looks as close to what I know. Just a few seconds ago, I fell asleep beside Bryson and Raiden. How did I get here? How am I here? Is this a dream? But why does every leaf my fingertips brush feel so real? Why does the scent of earth smell so real? Emily. I stopped and looked up. The voice came from up above, as if someone dangling on the branches watching my every move, yet as I looked up, there is no one in sight. However, there are stars I can spot through the cracks of the branches that shone down on me. Emily. The sudden gust of wind made me snap my eyes up ahead. I winced, my eyes narrowing as the leaves and small twigs flew my way, but between the trees was a soft glow of light, beaming and beckoning me closer. Emily. There goes that faint voice again. It's soft and feminine. It reminds me of Mom. Mom? I whispered into the night, my heart racing as I twisted and turned around in search of her. She was dead. Bryson told me she was dead. Yet I can hear her voice. Her voice. It's her voice. Tears blurred my vision and my throat chokes with pain. I will always remember her voice. I will always remember the way she said my name. How can I ever forget? Mom, I whispered again, holding in a frustrated cry as I desperately searched for her. I know she was dead. Bryson would not lie to me. Yet I know she's here, wherever here is. Come. I swallowed, turning back to the light. Her voice came from here now, a bit further away. The light now made a trail too. It was faint, but I can still see. I didn't think twice. I followed, running, not caring that the veiny roots that poked out of the soil whipped my skin brutally as I passed through. It's Mom. I know it's her. I can feel her. I can feel my own mother. She's here. She's here. Mom. I let out a choked cry, leaping over a tree trunk and landing in mud. Mud. I stopped. The soil is wet here. How comes? You're standing on lunar ground. I whipped around and my eyes connected with hers. I gasped. It really was her. It was Mom. Mom, I said shakily, crying when she beamed. There's a glow of white surrounding her. I try to move closer to her, but suddenly my feet are unable to move. I look down to see that my feet were sinking into the mud, now ankles deep. It's okay. It won't hurt you. I snapped my eyes up, expecting to see my mom, only to see an unknown woman. The first thing I noticed were the lightest of blue eyes I had ever seen. It glowed and sparkled with something I can't quite put my finger on. The woman standing before me had silver hair, almost the palest of white. She was donned in a light blue dress and looked fairly young, beautiful, and had a very powerful aura around her. But what caught my attention the most was the crescent moon at the center of her forehead. It glowed brighter when I looked at it. She smiled. "Hello, dear." "Who are you?" I whispered. She was not my mother, this woman I don't know. Alarms rang in my head, my heart speeding as I realized something was wrong. Who is this woman, and what does she want? A faint giggle slipped past her lips and her eyes twinkle. As I looked closer, I gasped when I realized her pupils were the shapes of a crescent moon, too. "There's no need to fear, dear. No need to fear when I am sinking into soil?" The woman snorted out a giggle of sorts, as though she heard my thoughts. That's because I can. She smiled, stunning me with her words. She can hear me? She nods. Of course, you're in my world. Her world, my heart sped. How did I? I took your soul when you fell asleep. She cut in, saying those words so casually I flinched. Am I dead? Raiden. Bryson. You're not dead. The woman giggled and took a step forward. I stiffened. I clenched my eyes tightly when she lifted her hand and her fingers touched my cheek. I waited for death or something bad to happen, but felt nothing. You're close, she whispered, making me snap my eyes open and my brows furrowed in confusion. Who are you? I whispered, watching in awe as the crescents glowed. She smiled. I am the goddess shifters praise to. I am the goddess of the moon. Her eyes fall on the ground. You're standing on my ground. Her words had me tongue-tied, unsure if this was real or not. She felt real. This felt real. With a pounding heart and a mind that's racing with different thoughts, I tumble out of my mouth. My mom, She was here. The woman smiled. She wanted to see you for a few, and I let her. Your dad. She smiled sadly. They're both here. They're safe. She continued to cup my cheek, staring into my eyes deeply. My eyes once more fills with tears and my breathing comes out shakily. Can I? She shook her head. No, we don't have enough time as it is. My brows knot. Time for what? Suddenly something snaps in the distance, and the moon goddess snaps her eyes in the direction of the sound. Her eyes widen in alarm, and she quickly looks back at me. They're already here. Her voice is urgent and a bit panicked. You're close, but not ready yet. Her words had my heart hammering in my chest, trying to make sense of what she was letting out. What? Listen. The shifters have been led astray by the council for way too long. I can no longer witness the wars and the pain the council bring to my children. I chose you because I know you can do it. My heart sped and my eyes widen in panic. Me? Do what? What are you? You can shift into your Lykan and become queen of the wolves. You will lead my children and you will do it well. You will stop wars. She stops when another twig snaps, this time closer. Her eyes widen and she utters, They're here. You must go now. Before I can question her, her palms push at my chest roughly, causing me to fall backwards. I am surprised to not feel my ankles snapping. She's alive, Maya, she's alive. The moon goddess said just before I felt my back hit the earth. As I gasp at the impact and rise into a sitting position, I realized my surroundings were no longer in the forest or wherever the moon goddess brought my soul. It was back in the room, back. Maya, I gasped, just as I felt a sharp pierce through my neck. Well, hello there, sleeping beauty. I snapped my eyes to hers to see that she was the one with the needle, injecting something into my neck. Maya, the girl I killed, she was supposed to be dead. She was dead. Don't you touch her. Bryson snarled and I looked for him. He's on the floor, held back by more than 7 wolves, one being Falcon, who lifts his eyes to me and smirks. We were betrayed. 118. Emily's Pav. As my surroundings become clearer to me, I notice that there were more than 50 wolves in the room surrounding us. I quickly shift my eyes to the spot beside me, my heart dropping when I noticed Raiden was missing. A loud snarl came from my throat as I burst into action. Raiden, my son! Where is my son? In a fast motion, I am standing, claws pushing out and reaching for Maya, but as I reach her, my vision blurs, making me stumble. I held the spot where she pierced me with the needle, feeling my limbs grow weak. What the hell did she do to me? I shook my head, trying to regain my vision as I continued to snarl, my heart slamming in my chest with fear for my son. I try to push my wolf to the surface, knowing that if I could give her full control, she can get us out of this predicament, but her presence is faint, yet I can feel her also trying to fight to resurface. Raiden, I like the name you gave him, Emily. Maya giggled, now beside me, and gripped my hair harshly. I groan, blinking to remove the haze in my vision. Don't touch her, you traitorous bitch, Bryson snarled. I growled, twisting around to grab at her throat. My fingers wrap around her neck, but instead of hearing her gasp, it sounds like the tone belongs to a male. I blinked, the haze shifting from my vision to see that I didn't grip Maya's throat but a male wolf. Maya giggled behind me. You're going to have to be faster than that to get me, Em. She taunts, her feet slamming down at the back of my knees, making them buck until my limbs got weakened into nothing and I am on my knees, trying to catch my breath as I fight to stay conscious. Raiden, Bryson, Lucy, Shawn, My nails scrap against the flooring as I try for my wolf again. I can't be defeated so easily. I can't lose so fast. "What did you inject into me?" I whispered, my vision blurring and getting clear. It's a battle and my body is losing. My wolf is losing. "Oh, just a little something to make us a bit even." Maya squat beside me. "Don't worry, it won't kill you, just makes you extremely weak. It doesn't last long though, so we're going to have to keep feeding you it until we reach the council." I try to focus on her words, but they have become slurred to me. Helpless tears fill my vision. "Don't hurt my son. Don't hurt any." "Oh, don't worry. Your son is in good hands. You should worry about yourself and your sister Emily, even Bryson and Shawn. You all will pay for going against the council and what you did to me." Was the last words I heard before another needle pierced through my skin and my body grows numb, my vision turning from a blur to a black curtain, pulling me into my own darkness as I am knocked out cold. Bryson's pav. There was something off about tonight. I stir, looking down at Em and Raiden to make sure they were okay before shifting and looking at the door. Maybe I was thinking too much into this, but something felt off. The house, even though it was still so late, it was too quiet, too eerie. My wolf was restless and I couldn't catch a wink of sleep. Perhaps it was because we had a situation with Kira, or maybe it was the whole ordeal of knowing we were up against the council who were no doubt many steps ahead of us. It could also be because I still feared Emily will sneak off into the night and leave me. There was still a part of me that feared she'd leave. My heart panged with pain as I shift my gaze to her. I didn't want her to leave me. I sighed, fighting the urge to reach over to brush her hair off her face. She had finally caught some sleep about 30 minutes ago, and I didn't want to accidentally rouse her awake. I winced when I suddenly felt a sharp jab in my head. It was Dad trying to communicate with me. It was rather late, so him trying to talk to me now must mean something wasn't right. I swiftly opened the mind link, not expecting his next words. "Ambush. We were ambushed. They know. You're not safe." Suddenly his mind link is cut off from mine and I can no longer push my way through to get to him. Panic surged through me, my heart pounding as I realized something was happening. I got off the bed, my eyes snapping to the door when I heard the quickening of rushing feet. They were coming closer. And there was not one or two. There were plenty. Falcon. That bastard. I should have known not to trust him. Fuck. I looked back at Emily to see her sound asleep. Raiden is too. "Shawn." I mind-linked urgently, my fists clenching at my sides as I growl. "We got betrayed. Fuck," was his immediate response. Just as the door bangs open, I snarl in warning as a swam of men enter the room. I quickly step forward, protectively in front of my son and Emily. "Take one more step, and I will tear every limb from your body." I can hear the fight going on in Shawn's room, and I can smell the copper scent of blood. Both he and Lucy were fighting, but there were too many wolves. Even here I lost count after 20. "Ah! Who's been a really bad boy?" I freeze as a quick brush of breath tickles at the back of my neck. I recognize that voice instantly, and a chill of dread run down my spine, knowing it was not possible for her to be alive. She was dead. Maya was dead. There was no heartbeat, no breath coming out of her lungs. She was cold. There was no soul. Yet, she is standing just behind me, her sharp nails touching the base of my neck in warning. "Dad?" My heart slams painfully against my chest when Raiden's soft, confused voice reaches my ears. I whirl around and Maya, with a strength I didn't know she possessed, pushed me back. I shift midair, snarling in warning as I looked at my boy and his sleeping mom. How is Emily still sleeping in all this? Raiden looks at all the wolves around the room in fear, and he curls to his mother's side, clutching the blanket closer to him. My heart skips as dread curled in my body. How am I going to fight all these wolves and whatever Maya was? I needed Emily. I needed her to wake up. Maya blocks my vision from seeing my family, and I snarl. She crouches, a sinister gleam in her eyes and a smirk playing on her lips. "I haven't seen you in so long, handsome. I missed your pretty eyes." I growled, putting my stance into a fighting one. I would die fighting to protect my family. I'd die trying. Maya giggled, flipping her hair behind her shoulder. "Didn't you miss me?" She looked back at Emily and Raiden, whose eyes are teary. Even at his age, he knew something was wrong. He shouldn't have to be going through this right now. I see you two made a little family, she snorted. I'd say, if I was your mom, you'd be more handsome. I snarled, taking a warning step forward, only to have all the wolves surround me. They were still in their human form, but that didn't mean they didn't have their strength. Now, Bryson, I'm the alpha in here. Not you, and not your little bitch. Her calling Emily bitch set me off. I saw red, and before I know it, my teeth was sinking into limbs, tearing off flesh, and in that haze what made me freeze for a bit was Raiden's cry. That little pause gave them the opportunity they needed. Something pushes into my neck and his voice hisses behind me. Let's see if you can fight this little alpha. As Falcon's words settle over me, whatever was injected into my neck quickly started to work in my body. I wheezed, snapping my jaws as I still try to fight off the many wolves that struggled to hold me back. But the more I pushed, the more I grew weaker until I could no longer feel the presence of my wolf, and my bones began to snap back into place, forming my entire body back into my human form. I am so weak I can't hold my body upright, especially with being held back by Falcon's pack warriors. I had too many. I looked over at the bed just to make sure my little family was okay. Raiden is snuggled closer to his mom, who is still asleep. My heart skipped, hoping that Emily was okay, seeing how odd it was that she was still fast asleep in all the noise and the fight. Don't hurt my family, I told Maya, who's staring down at me with a cocky smirk. She looks at one of the wolves and nod. Take him. I snarled when the man steps forward toward Raiden. Raiden, knowing that he was in danger, tries to wake up Emily, but she doesn't move an inch. Mommy, please wake up. Mommy. Raiden begged and screamed when the man grabs for him. Raiden scratches, bites, and helplessly throws punches at the fucker. The man groans, and another send him something that strangely looks like syringe. If you hurt him, Maya, I swear to God I will. Oh, stop, Bryson, Maya snorted. You can't hurt me, Alpha. I'm a hybrid. I'm stronger than you. If anyone can hurt me, it would be the bitch on the bed. She nudged her head to Emily, and in a blur she was beside her, pushing some of her hair away from her face. But it looks like our little Emily isn't a light sleeper. I snarled. Don't fucking touch her, you bitch. Maya giggled as she watched me struggle to push strength back into my body. I am also struggling under the weight of the other wolves, and I can't help but feel defeated seeing them carrying my son away, and I could do nothing but watch. I called through the mind link. I can still hear them snarling, but since they've not come here, I knew they were losing just as I am. The link is weak as my wolf is weakened, so I cannot communicate with Shawn or anyone from my pack. We are losing. We are losing. 119. Emily's POV. I'm rocking back and forth, unsure of where I am or what is going around me, but I am certain I am moving. I try to listen clearly for any indication that will let me know what's happening. The sound of breathing, hasty as it was not my breath. There were others around me. For someone that supposedly was tough, she sure was easy to capture. A man chuckled. Her mate was fucking easy too. Another responded with a snort. I had thought they'd put up some fight. Me too, the other man continued to chuckle in a mocking way. I was kind of disappointed. The great white wolf. The laughter rang loud through the air, making every nerve in my body buzz with fury. My ass. Wolves. Another replied bluntly. There are 2 of them, and we're not in the clear yet. From what the council told us, they are superior to normal wolves. We have to keep an eye on her and make sure she is well dosed. We are lucky we have a hybrid. If Maya wasn't, we would not have been able to capture her or the other. A dry chuckle rang through the air. She won't be able to do anything. I suddenly felt a slight kick to my stomach, and I held in my grunt and winced, making sure to keep my breathing even so they'd not know I was awake and listening. See? Another kick, this time higher, so close to my chest, that asshole. I can't wait to rip him to shreds. I hold in my growl and keep my breathing leveled. Useless bitch. The man snickered. We should just kill her now and be done with it. We need her alive. The council needs her alive. Getting rid of them now would save us trouble in the future. I don't get why we couldn't just kill them off. The man grumbles under his breath. This place reeked of sweat. Disgusting. And the men were revolting. One voice sounded so similar to Falcon's. I was sure he was here. Why, I could sense his alpha power as well. He betrayed us. I am itching to show them that I am awake and mercilessly kill them. But whatever serum that bitch Maya pushed into my bloodstream had not worn off yet. Still, I could feel myself gaining more control of my limbs. You're lucky Maya is in the truck with her mate and not here. She'd tear your throat out if you were to question her about the plan. Maya is with Bryson and not here. My son. What about my son, my sister, Shawn? My heart skipped and I bit the inside of my cheek, hoping they hadn't noticed. I don't get why we are supposed to follow her orders anyway. The other man snorted. She's a hybrid, half vampire, our enemy. She can turn on us at any time. For the next 5 minutes, I listened to them talking about Maya and the fear of her turning against them. I wanted to laugh. They didn't know they were only being used. If they had known, perhaps they wouldn't have been so willing to capture me. As I slowly get back the feeling of my limbs, I decided enough was enough. I was tired of listening to these bastards, and I needed to make sure my family was safe and okay. The conversation with the moon goddess before I woke up set a little bit of confidence in me. I just needed to find a way to tap into that power. Yes, that Lykan power Lucy told me about. I know that there was a chance of me losing control and not being able to shift back into human form. However, the safety of my family was at stake, and I had to do whatever it takes to make sure we were the ones left standing. We had too many foes, too many enemies. If I didn't tap into that power, all hope would be gone. The feeling of desperation settled in my chest, closing in around my heart. The issue around this is that I had no idea how to tap into that kind of power. Still, I needed to try, and even though I would not be able, maybe my white wolf was enough to go through the battle I was about to face. I try to use my mind link, seeing if I can get in touch with my sister, but hers is blocked. I wonder what they're going to do with the little kid. Heard Maya mention she'd be his new mom. That snapped me back to the situation at hand, my blood boiling as I seethed in my head. I will make sure to end her this time for sure. If I had known how wicked she had been, I would have never dropped a tear for her when I killed her. This time, I promised to make sure she'd never see the light again. A man sniggered. I think she was joking when she said that. I bet she'll kill him. Who knows, she probably already did. She wouldn't be so stupid. Those words came out of my mouth, rolling off my tongue so cold the room stilled and silence suffocated us. I peeled my eyes open, now staring at 5 wolves, one being Falcon who's in the middle, staring at me with surprise. I am in a truck on the floor, my hands tied behind my back with silver. I can feel the bite of the silver, but the pain isn't bad enough to make me give up. Give her another dose, Falcon hissed at the blonde man, pushing him slightly. I tilt my head, staring at him. Falcon, are you scared to do it yourself? The blonde man froze. He had gotten up, the syringe in his hand. I pushed myself up into a sitting position, keeping my eyes leveled with Falcon's. What's the matter? Scared of me? Falcon's lips pulled back into a snarl, and he rose to his feet, grasping the syringe from the blonde. He stormed toward me and gripped my neck. Who would be scared of someone who's too weak to fight to save her family? Even with the pressure of his fingers squeezing the life out of me, I don't gag, I don't beg, I don't try to catch my breath. Because his words would be my anchor into getting out of here. I remember how I felt when my alpha's command came out of me. Frustrated and angry. If I could get frustrated enough to the point something ticks like a time bomb, maybe there was a chance I could tap into that Lykan form. As the tip of the needle grazed the skin of my neck, I keep my eyes bored into his. He pauses. Why? Because he saw no fear, no pain, no defeat. What? Not pleased enough? Want me to beg? I taunted. He's blocking my airway, but I can't seem to give a fuck at the moment. My focus mainly on getting out of here and saving my family. His grip tightened to the point a little more again, and he'd crush it. My eyes don't bulge, my heart don't thud against my chest, and that upsets him. I smirked. You chose the wrong side, you know. He let out a low snigger. Who's tied up? Who is being brought to her death? Who's the useless bitch? My smirk grew as I twisted my hands, feeling the silver bite into my skin with every movement. I was buying myself time. Time for my wolf to awaken. Time for me to finally go to the extreme without worry. I was about to do this for my family. Bryson had trust in me that we could win. I couldn't let them down. You are? My smirk turned sinister when I felt the first buzz of my wolf creeping out of its cages. A few more seconds. I just need a few more seconds. "You're the bitch, Falcon?" I let out a chuckle. I laughed louder when his grip around my neck turned more brutal. Then he froze, his eyes widening a bit. "What the fuck?" he said, pushing the needle in my neck. However, before he could push the serum, I pushed her forward, my wolf. I let her take control. The little power she had, I gave it to her. She snarled, shifting and surprising Falcon, who ended up dropping the syringe. The truck swerved as my wolf pushed out her bounds. Her weight came crashing on Falcon instantly, and she snarls on top of Falcon, who shifted under us. His claws scratch along my side, but I didn't care for the pain as I snapped my jaws, my teeth searching for his neck. As the two of us fought in the small confines of the truck, it skids off the road. The screeching of the tires were loud until my ears rang. Then it turns over, again and again. Shards of glass pierce through my body. Falcon's teeth sink into my leg. I didn't care. I was going to fight. I will not back down. I will fight for my family until my very last breath. 120. Emily's Pav. It's crazy that one wants to fight with all they have when they know that there may not be a chance to win. That someone was me. Every last bit of power that consumed my wolf, I forced her to use it. My main goal was to destroy everyone who was trying to hurt my family. Falcon happens to be one of them. Thus, I wouldn't stop until he is nothing but shreds beneath me. I don't pay attention to the other wolves trying to get a hold of me. I don't care about the teeth sinking into my skin, the furious snapping of jaws close to my neck. Everything is just a blur of blood, snarls, and pain. Pain I was igniting into Falcon. I don't know how we managed to get outside into the open. However, I heard the shatter of glass around me, so I had a feeling he managed to push me through the windshield. It was daybreak now, and the sun was hot. I must have been knocked out cold for hours for it to already be day. We fought until the other got weak. We fought until the other could no longer breathe. We fought until the other's light dimmed in their eyes. The last breath was satisfying, the last dim of light fluttering away to hell. As I dig my claws into his chest, sinking deep into his heart as I stood above him, I couldn't help but growl in victory. The pleasure of feeling his heart slowly stop, the vibration of it all was sickeningly sweet. I licked around my jaw, tasting his blood, and howled. One down, many to go. Those of his pack, his members, stopped abruptly to wail the loss of their leader. Retracting my claws from his heart, I turned around, blood dripping from my jaws as I looked at every remaining wolf. The pain of them tearing through my flesh was numbed down by the determination to keep going until I saw my family once more. They snarled, baring their teeth. The truck we were just in a while ago was wrecked behind them. The windshield shattered, the metal bent in odd, crazy ways, twisted into the bark of the tree. The wreckage was severe to the point no one should have lived if we were human. My paws dug into the earth, my wolf buzzing with rage as I stared at every single one of them. Their eyes were dead set on me, their anger easily waving through the air. I wanted nothing more than to kill them all at once, but I needed my wolf to heal me a bit before I could take on another fight. So I taunted them by turning around and weaving through the trees, pushing my wolf to heal up a bit before I could once more feel the pleasure of killing. For a few minutes, I become their prey and they become the predator. I laughed in my head, enjoying the rushed feeling of knowing I was about to bring them all to their deaths. In a sick way, I have never felt so free and powerful. Never felt this sudden urge to kill anyone in sight, anyone that poses a threat to the people I love. The feeling was exhilarating. As the wind howled and brushed through my fur, a fire licked at my flesh, a fire of determination. I twist my head to look back, my body buzzing in satisfaction when I see all the wolves close behind. They snarled, in obvious distress of trying to keep up with me. They didn't know I was only leading them to their deaths. I let them enjoy their chase, slowing down and whimpering for good measure. Their snarls roared louder through the air, startling the birds in the trees, and I frowned. The poor things were only enjoying their rest. Rest. What me and my family were enjoying before we got betrayed and ambushed by them. As their breaths yapped behind my legs, just tickling my fur, I ran around the tree and had them go in circles for a bit. I made sure they got irritated to the point their yaps turned into growls of frustration. I laughed inwardly and dashed forward, leaping over a fallen branch. The adrenaline kept me going, but the thought of being the one to push through to save my family was more accelerating. My heart raced, but not from fear, from the knowing feeling of winning. As they snapped their jaws at my legs, I took off a little faster, turning to look at them. They looked angry, yet tired and more frustrated. I smirked. Now is the time. Enough playing with my food. I span around, my claws flashing, slashing through the air with a deadly accuracy as they whipped across one of the wolf's face, right down the middle. His mouth is split in half, and so is his forehead from my assault. The smell of his blood was deliciously tempting. I needed to see more. I find he was better looking that way. He yelped in surprise, not having expected me to be so swift. But the wounds had healed up a good bit, and I was back to almost 100%. All I needed to do was make sure I had an upper hand, and I was able to keep my eyes on all wolves. The blood swam down his face like a river, his wolf unable to heal him up quick enough before I slashed again at him. My claws whipped through the air like a fucking tide, drowning his bloody mouth with his own metallic tang. Satisfaction made me go for another. The kill. As I tear through his throat, I growled in pleasure, watching his corpse shift into his miserable human form. He choked on his own blood, gasping and begging his wolf to heal him. I can see the desperation in his eyes, the desperation for his last breath, desperation to live. His hand went to his throat, the back of his heels digging into the dirt as he tried to push away from me. I bet he wished he hadn't been the one closest to catching up to me now. The light in his eyes started to dim, the panic in the depths of his soul making the death quicker. As he took in his last breath, I savor it. The others had slowed down when they saw how easy it had been for me to kill this fool. But of course, under the council's command and being Falcon's lapdogs, they'd never back down. They lunged toward me, their teeth sinking into my sides and drawing out my blood. I don't yelp. I don't cry. I don't run away. I was done playing with my prey. I was now the predator. My claws slashed against skin, against fur, against whatever the hell I could get them into. I enjoyed the sounds of their cries, the mercy I had a feeling they were trying to beg me for. I don't give them mercy. I don't stop. I don't feel pity for those whose mates would feel their deaths. It was either me or them, and I selfishly chose myself. I had a family after all. I was not stupid to give up. Raiden, Bryson, Lucy, Shawn, I was not going to give up. The crimson blood dripped onto the ground, the taste suffocating the air around us. The assault of blood made me thirst for me. Blood gushed against my fur, coating me in ruby, a color I was beginning to be fond of. I wanted more. I didn't care or know if it was my blood being drawn out or theirs. I just knew that someone would die today, and it wouldn't be me.